We often chase the latest gear, spend hours researching about it, thinking it's the magic shortcut to instant improvement. You might see a new blade or a rubber come out and believe that acquiring it will lead to an instant breakthrough in your game. This perception, while understandable given the allure of advanced equipment, can actually lead to unnecessary spending and ironically actually slow down your progression. If you prematurely or incorrectly choose equipment that's too advanced for you or simply mismatched for your current abilities, it introduces uncontrolled variables like excess speed or reduced control. This often forces you to adapt your technique to the equipment, which can lead to very bad habits down the line. The outcome frequently is slower progress, frustration, and a feeling that your new expensive racket is just not delivering. I'm Kush Baveja. I started training competitively at 14. By 15, I was selected for the state team. I've been coaching both in person and online for about 3 to 4 years now, and I make these videos to help you progress as fast as possible. The fix is simple. A truly effective equipment upgrade is calculated and it's strategic. It's about ensuring that your gear aligns precisely with your evolving skill set and specific playing style, serving as an enabler of performance rather than a constraint. So what does this strategic approach to equipment that I'm going to talk about actually involve? Before we actually begin though, I have to discuss a core principle that we just can't skip over. A foundational principle in table tennis consistently emphasized by seasoned players and experts is that technical proficiency always comes first. A player with superior technique will always outperform the player with better gear. My paramount focus on what I teach the people that I coach is mastering fundamental stroke mechanics, footwork, and consistency. Equipment functions as a supportive instrument designed to complement and enhance your established style and skill rather than acting as a substitute for technical prowess. The main determinant of your performance relies solely in your technique, not your equipment. Your current skill level is usually the primary constraint. If you jump to faster, less forgiving gear with unrefined technique, it tends to make existing problems in your game worse. Anyways, now, how do you objectively know if your current racket is genuinely limiting your capacity to execute strokes or generate your desired amount of spin or speed? I look for these clear signs. The first one being a loss of grip or bounce in rubbers. This is one of the clearest indicators that your equipment is impeding performance. You'll notice a significant reduction in grip, making it tough to impart spin on your serves and strokes. Visible signs of wear like cracks, tears, or a decrease in the ball's bounce are clear signs as well. You'll feel a general deadness or unresponsiveness from the rubber. What I've observed is that worn rubber actively hinders your technical development. You unconsciously compensate by altering your technique, perhaps hitting harder instead of brushing, and these little things quickly become ingrained as bad habits. Regularly inspecting and upgrading worn rubbers is a critical preventative measure against these subtle yet damaging habits that you'll then have to fix later down the line. Another aspect that you have to take into consideration when deciding whether your racket is holding you back or not is whether you're having control issues as you play. If your topspin shots consistently go long when your form and technique feel sound, this often suggests that your current rubber is simply too fast for your skill level, and this can lead to a considerable lack of consistency. Difficulty controlling shots when trying to generate spin also signals that your equipment might be excessively fast, unforgiving, or hard for your current technique. Rubbers that are too fast or too hard can induce a defensive shift, making you resort to passive blocking and attacking less. A lack of tactile feedback from the blade can make it challenging to feel the ball upon contact, directly impacting control. If your racket makes you play passively, it's actively hindering your developmental trajectory. Anyway, so here's my approach to strategic equipment progression, matching your skill level to your equipment. For a beginner, it's simply about developing your fundamentals without being overwhelmed. Equipment shouldn't involve anything too fancy here. What you can do is start with a good quality pre-made racket or a custom setup prioritizing control. If you're choosing the custom setup option, I recommend 5-ply wood blades. An example of this might be the Donic Applegrain All Play. The Stiga All-Round Classic also might be a great option. Right now, it's all about prioritizing touch and precision. You can pair this with a spinny, controllable inverted rubber. Perhaps the Xion Vega Intro or the Yasaka Mark V. Yes, I'll admit it, Mark V may still have a use and a purpose for table tennis in 2025. Now, as we look at intermediate players, it's about catering to your constantly increasing level of spin and speed that you're able to generate. For this phase, at about 1 to 3 years of club training for most people, I often advise upgrading rubbers for spin and speed while keeping the original blade that you bought in your beginner phase. If you are changing blades, however, an offensive minus or an offensive blade that balances control, spin, and feeling are a good priority to keep in mind. You could look at the 𝗕𝗲𝗍 𝗕𝗏, you could look at the 𝗕𝗲 𝗕𝗏 𝗦𝗁. In the rubber department, rubbers like Racket 7 or Vega Europe are usually ones to be considered and are usually ones that I recommend to the players that I coach in this bracket, the intermediate bracket. The reason for this is that we're not looking for 𝗕𝗫𝗄 speed, we're not looking for MXB speed just yet. We want to aim to lock down those fundamentals first before we go to something that artificially, if you will, sort of increases the speed that you can generate in your shots. Now, if you got all your fundamentals down, you're in the advanced refinement stage of training more than 4 years, you could consider transitioning to offensive or offensive plus blades even. Many players in this phase will switch to a carbon fiber blade of sorts, such as the Viscaria, maximizing the speed that they can generate. Common blades you'll see amongst advanced players are the Viscaria, the 𝗕𝗲𝗿𝗃 ALC, the 𝗕𝗍𝗃 ALC, which I use myself. Faster, harder inverted rubbers are also common in this player bracket. Advanced players have their technique down. It's about now getting into the nitty-gritty, trying to generate as much spin and speed as they can by whatever means they can. But keep in mind, faster blades, faster rubbers aren't necessarily better if you can't or don't have the technique to leverage their potential. And guys, all wood blades do remain viable at the highest level. And generally, equipment made for advanced players is made for the purpose of squeezing out every little bit of extra quality that a player can add to their current game. Now, real quick, if you're facing issues and roadblocks in your game that you're struggling to overcome and you want my personal advice and coaching, then hit the top link in the description. That will take you to my online community where I help players like you get over their plateaus and start seeing results as soon as possible. Now, it is important to discuss some common pitfalls, which is what we're going to do now. I've seen these mistakes too many times and they can really halt one's progress. The first one being the too fast, too soon trap. This is the most common pitfall. Acquiring equipment excessively fast or hard for your skill level. Rubbers that are too fast can lead to passive blocking, preventing practice of aggressive strokes and actively stopping improvement. Another pitfall that I've come across that I have suffered or been a culprit of in my journey was the frequent equipment changes. Constantly switching rackets kills consistency. It forces you to basically rebuild your technique from scratch every time you change your rubber or blade, stalling your improvement a ton. Your racket should be something that you know and trust well. Changing it so much it's just going to halt your progress. There's also the adjustment period that you have to keep in mind. When I upgrade, especially if there's a big change like I'm switching from 𝗕𝗫𝗄 to Hurricane 3 on my forehand, I know that there's an inevitable adjustment period. That can be a few sessions if you're switching from 𝗕𝗫𝗄 to MXB, but if, like me, you were switching from Hurricane 3 to 𝗕𝗫𝗄 at one point, that can take a few months. When I'm changing, I prioritize consistency in my practice and focus on getting a feel for the new racket by hitting as many balls as possible, focusing on the fundamentals at first. Patience in this phase is key, and I just can't stress enough the importance of consistency in the equipment that you use. Having stability in your equipment life is vital. Using the same well-maintained equipment allows me to focus on refining my technique and technical understanding rather than constantly adapting to my new racket's properties. This strategic stability actually accelerates your real skill development. So what can you do right now to make smart equipment decisions and accelerate your progress? Check for any noticeable loss of grip or bounce. If your rubber is worn, upgrade it as a priority to prevent developing bad compensatory habits. Be honest with yourself. If your current setup feels too fast, if it's causing passive play or consistent errors despite what you think is good technique, there might be a mismatch between you and your equipment. If your priority is to improve as fast as possible, make sure changing your rubbers is less of a priority than replacing them, as you want stability in your table tennis equipment. So my final thoughts: the decision to upgrade your equipment is a pivotal moment in your table tennis career. My ultimate takeaway is this: equipment is a powerful tool, but its effectiveness is always tied to your skill and whether you're practicing consistently or not. The true essence of table tennis is your technique, not the equipment. Master your technique first, practice consistently, and then make smart equipment choices that truly help you. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe. You'll see more videos like this on your feed. But that is all from me today, and I'll see you in the next video.